guys, it's your average vet rider. We're at the MotoAdventure beta ride day. We're gonna ride some betas today. Right now we're on this way. Nerds, average vet rider. That was the first bike, the 2023 Beta 200RR. I liked it. It was the first bike I rode in the morning, so I didn't know the course. It was a relatively short course, between 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. The first bike. So I was surprised with how stiff the suspension is. MotoAdventure had said that they were all brand new bikes, so maybe that's why the suspension hadn't been broken in. So I liked it. It reminded me a little bit of riding a 125. I think that's basically what we're looking at anyways, which is a 200. Basically just a bigger cylinder and piston, but it was good. Obviously, I didn't ride so great. I haven't ridden two-stroke since the 90s, so it was interesting. But I like the bike. I don't know that I would be interested in one, but overall, it had plenty of power. The suspension was good, even though it was stiffer than I thought. The clutch engagement was nice. The power seemed relatively linear. The bike turned well and was super light. So that's a 200. Alright guys, so here we are on the 200RR Beta 2-stroke. I'm sorry, nope, the 250RR Beta 2-stroke. This was the bike I was most interested as far as two-strokes go and riding on the day, to be honest. And I know everyone's going to go crazy by hearing it, but if I was to buy a Beta, I think I would lean towards the 4-strokes. And I think that's just because that's what I ride and have been riding consistently, where I just felt way more comfortable on the 4-strokes. But if I was going to buy a Beta to race, it would be one of two bikes. It would be this 250RR or the 350RR Race Edition. I think these are the bikes that I would feel the most comfortable racing. They were two of the bikes I had the most fun on throughout the day. And this is a tight little loop, but not anything serious. It's not tight single track. It's not anything like that. The biggest problem with this loop, as far as riding wise, was it was just super dry, and there was some bigger, chunkier rocks here and there, but nothing serious. But for some reason, this was the one bike I chose not to talk during while riding, so I figured I would do a voiceover at least for the 250RR, so you guys would get that. And also with the ride day, I was a little bit surprised. There was a lot of more like beginner riders than advanced riders, so that was interesting to me because I didn't know what to expect. So thanks for checking it out. So guys, that was the 250RR, just the standard model. They didn't have a race edition 250RR. This was actually the two-stroke I was the most interested in riding. I know that the 300 is torquier and it's really good in tight trails and hard conditions. And the 200 was a little small, more similar to like a 125 style of riding. And the 250, revs out more or whatever. Like I said, I haven't ridden two-strokes in a long time, so obviously with some more time I could get back to how the bike should have been ridden. But just feeling out the bike and everything, this was more what I would lean to with the two-stroke. And of the 3 two-strokes that I rode, the 200 the 250 and the 300RR, which you'll see in a second. If I was gonna buy a two-stroke, I would buy this one. So that's my opinion on that. It just feels natural, a 250 two-stroke. Good low end, good revving ability. Suspension was great, turned great, was super light. Everything on it worked great. The clutch was good, the brakes were good. I didn't have any complaints riding this one. So I know that people are gonna be like, oh, blasphemy, but this is the two-stroke I would buy if I was gonna buy it.
From my buddy Jeremy's 300 race edition, two-stroke. Well, we're on a 350 RR race edition. That belongs to my buddy Kyle. So, taking her for a ride. Maybe we'll crash her just to let Kyle know we love him. Just joking. Honestly, so far, the 350's been my favorite. This one's pretty sweet. Seems to be how slow revving they are. They're like, it's not like instant punch. They build.
So that was the Beta 350RR Race Edition. Sorry, I'm down in the shop because I left my phone downstairs when my cheese left. 350 Race Edition, I really like that bike. Honestly, if I was gonna get a Beta to race because I race hare scrambles and GPs, the 350 would probably be the bike. Obviously the two strokes are faster. Or not faster, I'm sorry. Obviously the two strokes are lighter and they definitely have a bigger following, but that 350 was pretty friggin' sweet. And if I was gonna race a Beta, which I think I might like to do moving forward, I just gotta get my Honda, my 22 450 RX out the door. That would probably be the one I buy. Had to get the heater running up here. It's not heated up here in my game room and office. So the Beta 390 RR. This bike, it's hard to do a good review of the bike. I like the suspension. I like the engine and the power that the bike had. I mean, it's basically the same as the rest of the 4-strokes, but this bike was kind of hindered. Starting off in the morning at the riders meeting, the MotoAdventure guys talked about the fuel mapping being off, that it had a slight bog when you turned it. And I didn't really notice that, but I think the reason I didn't notice that is because the bike was stalling an awful lot. There was something wrong with the clutch where literally like the first quarter inch of movement of the lever was all of the clutch, where it all was. So later in the day, they had taken it over and tried to bleed it and tried to get the lever to come back and work better. But I rode it in that situation, so I wasn't overly impressed with the bike and I wasn't super pumped on it. Had the fuel mapping been right and the clutch worked better, it probably would have been a different story.
This engagement.
That was a 2023 Beta 430 RR. Leading up to this point, this had been my favorite bike so far of riding. The way I've structured this video, they weren't in the order in which I rode them. I actually went from the very first person out on the 200 RR to the 390 to the 430 to the 500, and then I didn't want to wait in the lines for the 300 and the 350. So luckily, two of the guys that work at MotoAdventure are my good buddies. So I rode my buddy Kyle's 350 RR Race Edition and my buddy Jeremy's 300 RR Race Edition, and then waited in line for the 250 RR. So the 430 was good leading up to that point. Like, the power was good. It felt similar to riding what I currently ride with, 450 motocross bikes and my 450 off-road bike. And I really liked it. So all the same positives: good clutch, good brakes, progressive power. That's the thing with these betas, they build power. When you turn the throttle, it's not like a hard hit. It builds up, it's progressive. So just like when you're talking with suspension, as it ramps up as it goes down, because it's progressive suspension, it's the same thing. You turn the throttle and it kind of just builds and tractors along. So I really like the 430. And up next was my favorite bike of the whole day.
500RR. This is the biggest bike here at this test. And to be honest, I think it might be the most fun bike here. It's just a tractor. I did like the Beta 350 RR Race Edition, but I don't know. There's something about this. Plus, I believe it's a dual sport. So you could ride this to work too.
Was it, guys? The Beta 2023 Beta 500 RRS. So they don't actually make a race edition from what I can tell on Beta's website for that one. And she's a big girl. It's heavy, but man, did I have some fun on that bike. I love that bike. By far, of all 7 bikes, that was my favorite bike. Like I said, if I was gonna race, if I wanted to race 2-stroke, I'd buy the 250 RR. If I was gonna race my normal series on a Beta, I'd buy the 350 RR. But if I just wanted to buy a Beta for fun, that 500, oh God, was it fun. Super smooth power, the suspension was great, the clutch was great, brakes were great, it wasn't too heavy. I love the ergos of it. Like, man, that bike was fun. But that bike's also KTM and Husky level pricing. I think it's like almost $12,000. So, but it's a dual sport too. You could ride that baby back and forth to work and save on some gas money. Man, did I love that bike. So super grateful for MotoAdventure to let me come out and be involved in the ride day. I friggin' loved it. Like seven brand new off-road bikes in one day. That's a blast. Like, I love motocross and that's all I've ever done, but I love off-road a little bit more. And days like that, man, that was like celebrating Christmas already. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching the video. I know it's a long one, but it was a great day yesterday, so thanks for tuning in.